To this week's edition of Bold School of Commerce. Mike from Bold here. I'm here with Paul. What's going on? We're going to be talking about retargeting today. We're going to get started in less than a minute. So this is your chance to grab a glass of water, maybe grab some notes, get your laptop going, and we'll get cooking in less than a minute. Stay tuned. What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's edition. It's Bold School of Commerce again, where we go over our best e-commerce practices, showing you the tips and tricks and helping you get on with your e-commerce stores, allowing you to sell more, do more, be better, grow more, all those things. My name is Mike, in case you are just new to the Bold School of Commerce. I'm here with Paul. Paul here is one of the marketing guys at Bold. He deals with growth marketing, a lot of data. If anyone, he's one of the best guys in this whole company to talk about remarketing and retargeting. So welcome, Paul. I'm really excited to talk about retargeting and remarketing today.
Absolutely, man. Pleasure to be here.
So let's just keep in mind that this is just like a classroom. Bold School of Commerce, we're trying to mimic the classroom lifestyle. So this is live, and just like a real classroom, if you have any questions or any comments, feel free to post them in the comments below. We're streaming live on Facebook and Crowdcast right now, so if you are checking us out there, feel free to ask the questions, and we'll get right down to it. So what we're going to be talking a little bit about today is, number one, retargeting in general. What is it? What's it all about? And how can you guys use retargeting to better direct more traffic and ultimately grow your sales? We'll be talking about how to use retargeting. We'll show you the entire process of retargeting, how to set it up, and we'll give you all the tools that you could possibly need to make it happen. So let's get right down to it and talk a little bit about retargeting in general. So picture this. You open up your Shopify store, somebody goes, they check out your products, but they don't buy anything, and well, here's kind of one of the catalyst reasons why we wanted to do this webinar was, for most websites, only 2% of the actual web traffic converts on any customer's first visit. So, if you think about it, you go to a store, you're going to check out the products, you might not actually buy. It's that sort of that awareness part in the buying cycle. And there's nothing wrong with that, unless somebody really, really needs to get their shaving cream shipped to them the next day. Maybe they want to check out some competition, check out some prices. But what retargeting allows you to do is track anybody that comes to your website and remarket some content to them. And you'd be surprised at how effective this is. And you can almost think about when you're actually perusing websites. Yeah. You're going to websites, maybe you're checking out some content, and then out of nowhere, you go to your Facebook page, and all of a sudden you see an ad for something that you were just looking for. Yeah. It's not magic. It's somebody retargeting you, and we'll talk a lot about that today. I'm just trying to think of a recent example of being retargeted. I did mention shaving creams. I was looking for a new shaver to get the buzz cut going. So I was looking online, and then all of a sudden, my Facebook and my Instagram feeds were both not flooded, but you know what? There were ads that were sneaking in there for a razor. And what these ads are doing is they're finding either people who are going to your page and retargeting them, or they're going to be used off of actual lists of data that they've collected. So what I want to do right off the bat for you guys is I want to show you the entire process of how it works. So I'm going to share my screen with you here. And if you'll take a look at here, Paul and I will walk you through the buying cycle here of how retargeting actually works. I'll try and make it as big for you guys as I can. So here we go. Let's say Paul is the potential customer. So Paul, what are you shopping for today?
Obviously tidy whities.
Tidy whities. Okay, so we're looking for underwear. You know what? MeUndies is actually a good friend of ours. They do great social media and great content as well. Shout out to MeUndies. So we're looking for underwear. Now you'll see here as I use the mouse, Paul's the potential customer, and he's going to go visit an underwear site. So he's going to check it out, and he's going to see offer. Maybe if they do have the tidy whities he's looking for. If they don't, you know what? Maybe they don't, and he's going to leave, and then he's gone. So that's it. Your customer is now gone. There's really no way of getting them back unless they revisit. But you're going to try and be proactive because they've already showed some interest. They were obviously just trying to get some awareness, and now you want to really get back to them, almost reminding them that they visited their site, or coming up with maybe an offer or something like that. We'll get more down into the details a little bit later, but let's just continue with the cycle here. So later on, Paul's back at his desk doing his work, obviously doing his work and not surfing the web here, and all of a sudden he sees an ad. He sees an ad, whether that's on his Facebook, whether that's through AdWords, whether that's through Instagram. There's countless ways that you can be retargeted. And he gets that ad. It reminds him, hey, I was looking for tidy whities earlier. Maybe this is an offer. You now know that he was interested in that product. So maybe reach out and show that product to him once again. Maybe even offer it as a bundle, a discount. Buy more, spend less, anything like that. You can think of on your own. But then ultimately, boom, he makes the sale, and you've got your happy customer. So that's kind of the complete cycle here of retargeting. If you weren't familiar with that, feel free to maybe snap a picture of this if you wish. I'm just gonna exit this the full screen here, and we're back. So that's how retargeting works. Now, what I wanted to talk a little bit about with Paul is there's two ways that there's the most common ways of retargeting. One of which is through a pixel or you're cookied. That term is often thrown around. Yeah. And the other way is through lists. If you're gathering emails or if people if they're signing up for your website and you have lists, maybe somebody has given you a list or anything like that, you can actually take that list and then use it to retarget those people. But what we'll talk a little bit right now is, number one, it's the pixel-based way. So this is an ad based on a website that we talked a little bit about sort of how that works. So when it comes to a website you visited, there's ways that you can use either AdWords or Facebook. I'm more familiar with Facebook. Paul's got a good handle on AdWords. But these are the ones when people are going to your site, you've got them captured, and then you're going to send them content, as we saw in that cycle there. So Paul, let's walk everybody through, if they're new to retargeting. Let's say they just opened their Shopify store, or maybe they've opened it for a while, but they've never really taken those steps to retargeting. What are some of the things that they need to consider before they start diving right down into it? Is AdWords a good way to for them to get involved? Do you think maybe social media and Facebook is a better way?
I think probably the most common one right now is Facebook. And I think just the ad platform in general is a little bit more user-friendly. People seem to understand it a little bit easier. There's tons of content out there on remarketing and Facebook ads in general. Like you just Google any Facebook advertising blog and you'll find a ton of content. But the first thing, obviously, like you mentioned, is setting up your pixel, making sure it's on your site properly.
Sure.
So with Shopify in general, I know there's literally just a little spot in the settings where you plunk in your pixel code, and then that'll basically work for any kind of page on your site. You can do some more custom coding, which will help with if you want to do add to carts or
sure.
Certain page views, viewed content, and all that kind of other stuff that you can do with Facebook pixels. So that's what you want to get set up first. And then after that, you want to basically kind of figure out what you want to do with your remarketing or retargeting. Do you want people to convert right away, or are you going for awareness? Like you mentioned before, kind of looking through that cycle, I think the average of of how many touches a brand has to have with a potential customer before that customer buys from them is roughly about 5 to 7 times that they see their content. So if you take that in consideration and you're targeting people that have recently viewed your website or come to your website, no matter what page it is, then you might want to go with something towards an awareness campaign. So, say they looked at this product, maybe you serve them an ad with a blog post about that product.
Yeah, that's
or something relevant like that, or maybe something a comparable product, or just it could be information, might not, depending on what you're selling, might even be about your your company. It might be a blog post that has to do with that industry or something like that.
Sure, or like giving them, ways that they can use their product or something.
Exactly.
It's not necessarily an ad, but it's really helpful.
Absolutely. So it's like top of the funnel content, right? Like it's kind of a soft sell. Like, hey, they could purchase directly from this, but the odds are that they probably won't. So what you can do with those is you can either lead them back to, say, like a lead magnet, like downloading some free, ebook or something, or it could be even free product if that's something you're interested in giving away. And then basically getting them back to your website again, and then you can kind of layer a few levels of awareness, and then once they've seen those ads, then you get into the conversion ads. So that's like when people have added something to cart or abandoned cart, and then you can retarget them with essentially the same products that they just viewed or just added to just viewed on your website or just added to your cart.
That's awesome.
A real easy way to do that through Facebook retargeting is with DPA, or dynamic product ads.
Okay.
So essentially what you can do, you can go into your Shopify account and you can download your product catalog. So essentially a list of all your products that you have on your store, and you upload that into your Facebook ads manager. And then essentially what that'll do when you go through the setup of your ads is it will show the corresponding product to whatever that person saw.
Yes.
Or viewed or added to the cart before. So if you come to, or if I go to, MeUndies and I look at a certain pair of underwear, I add it to the cart, and then I go, no, maybe not right now.
Yeah.
And then I go on Facebook later on, they'll literally show me that exact image of that product. And, sometimes they might have, like you mentioned before, some sort of like incentive or a reduction in cost, something like that. To go along with their ad to kind of up the conversion.
Just keeping it top of mind, always kind of keeping that, you mentioned those touch points. So you want to get as many of those as you can. So if anybody's just joining us now, as you know, we are doing this live. We're talking all about retargeting. We're talking about how you can use retargeting to drive traffic back to your Shopify store, your e-commerce site, however you like to use it. So as I mentioned, if you do have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments, and we'll get to them. We're going through the list of just things to cover. And one thing that I did want to talk about now, retargeting is one thing, but if you're not familiar with sort of marketing or the idea of marketing, kind of the broad strokes of what you should consider, Paul mentioned these types. Now, when I kind of think about creating an ad or a social strategy or any marketing strategy in general, I always use the AIDA principle. And the AIDA principle is AIDA, which stands for awareness, interest, desire, action. So how I view retargeting in that way, you go to a site, you're trying to learn a bit more. That's kind of the awareness. You're learning more about the products. And then they leave. So they've got that awareness down. You want to keep that going. You want to keep them aware of your products. You want to keep them aware of what's going on. So maybe use retargeting to show them another product, or maybe show them a product they're interested in, or maybe just show them the same product. Next, after that, it kind of comes down to an interest. So how are you going to get them interested in your product? You mentioned maybe showing them a blog article of how they can use that product, or how other people are using the product, or how this product's going to make their lives better. Yeah. The next step of that would be to actually give them some incentive. Create that desire. Yeah. Is that going to be by creating an offer, maybe providing them a discount, a sale, something like that? Or is it going to be kind of creating some sort of desire, making it really, really stick out that they would really want it? Ultimately, to get them to click that buy now button. So that's kind of the 4-tier process. Each one of these should almost be a different retargeting ad. To move them up that cycle, you don't want to create the interest and the awareness and the desire and the action all at once. Because you might be throwing your money down the drain a little bit. This goes back to A/B testing as well. Make sure that you're doing these with your ads. You're honing in on your audiences. You're testing different creative, because you don't want to just throw all the money into one ad and then wonder, I spent $100 on this ad and I didn't get any sales. Yeah. You have to consider giving them more content. People aren't just going to go to your Facebook page and press buy now. I think we can speak freely about that. That seldom happens with me. the same time, if I visited a website a couple days ago, I'm surfing Facebook, I'm checking out what's going on in the news, all of a sudden I get an ad reminding me about the razor that I was looking at earlier. That's exactly how retargeting is used and some of the main benefits of retargeting in general. So keep that in mind for your retargeting when you keep that when you go up to set it up down the road.
Yeah, definitely. And I would say, just to kind of layer on top of that, one thing to consider as well is just, like you mentioned, always test your ads. I would recommend usually running them for a couple of days, just so you can actually get some useful data out of it. And then when it comes to what were we talking about before? Lists, like retargeting lists.
Sure. Yeah.
Worrying about like segmentation and that sort of thing. So one thing you can do is you can just import your list into, say, Facebook and just run it as is. But a couple things to consider are those lists that you have might not, like, some people might not correspond with the same email that they gave you as is in their Facebook account.
Okay.
So those people might not see your ads. I think it's roughly about 70% of lists that are uploaded, those people will actually see your ad. So that's something to consider. And then also, like, you'll know your customers, right? You'll look at, say, your analytics or your Facebook insights and stuff like that, and use, okay, we have, most of our customers are from, say, Australia or New Zealand or Canada or what have you. So you can test that within your segmentation as well. Take my list and then, check people from Australia that are male and 18 to 25, and maybe even have certain behavioral behaviors online, and also maybe their interests as well. Maybe they're more interested in sports or nightclubs or what have you. So that's a different way to really get a little bit more granular with your advertising and with your segments. And then, like I said, just test and test. You can, I mean, you can literally. It kind of sounds excessive sometimes, but you can test ads for $5 a day. I've seen people getting 2-cent CPCs and stuff like that. So it really won't cost you that much if you're committed to advertising and spending some money on it. It's really worth doing that test, and then over time you'll start to know what your audience likes and responds to. Yeah.
So people probably have some hesitations about Facebook advertising. You're spending money. And you might not see a 100% return on that.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is, test, but test small. And you'd be surprised at how much you can get out of that $5. Sure, you might not get $5 back, but it's the long game. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. It's just like any other sort of marketing you do. If you do write blogs or any sort of content, social media. When's the last time you wrote a blog post and then it just the one blog post viral? It's usually, there's obviously always exceptions. It's, you get better and better over time, and people start, coming to your site more, reading your content more. Same thing with, say, Instagram. It's not like you just post your first post and then all of a sudden you have 100,000 followers.
Sure.
It's not the way it works. You got to give those things time. And unfortunately with Facebook ads, a lot of people just don't kind of have the patience for it.
Yeah. And there's so much to know too.
There is. It's a big platform. There's a lot to know. Like I said, there's tons of resources online. Shopify has stuff. We have stuff. Our blog just posted something about retargeting a little bit while ago, so which was well received. So I would recommend checking out those resources and just do your due diligence.
Sure. And for those of you who stuck around with us, we right before we came in here, we were just checking out some resources as we do. There's one really cool thing that I wanted to share with you. So just to kind of give you a recap so far, we've talked a little bit about what retargeting is, how people use retargeting. We showed you the full retargeting cycle. I can pull that up at the end if we can get down to that. Maybe you can take a screenshot of that just so you're more familiar with it. We talked about the two main ways that people use retargeting: pixel-based and list-based. And then we talked about a little bit about Facebook, and I wanted to touch on that. Now, list-based retargeting is based off of people if you have collected data already. So these are like email lists, or maybe you've made a custom audience in Facebook. Maybe you've made a lookalike audience in Facebook. You're then going to use that list to retarget those people. So these are people that maybe they haven't been to your website yet. Maybe they have, but list-based is based off of actually retargeting the people on your list. So keep that in mind too. And what I wanted to talk to you about now is some people question, what do I do if I'm not getting traffic to my website? In that case, I think that social media is a really strong arm that you can have to use that, specifically Facebook. There's so many ways that you can target your audience on Facebook. So whether that's people who've been to your Facebook page, a similar website to yours, you can actually search for that, in the data fields and find out that information. From there, a quick trick here is if you have an audience that's performing really well, whether that's within your ads or just your Facebook content in general, you can create a lookalike audience, which is essentially mirroring the traits of people who you've already captured. And Facebook is just making the assumption, if these people are engaging with your brand, we've got a good feeling that these people would also be interested in. So, keep in mind that you can use those lookalike audiences as well. But a really cool trick that we just saw. There was an article online. It was actually in a Shopify forum, and it was a Facebook targeting option that helped the company generate a 2,700% ROI, and they used it with a detailed targeting feature. And it has to do with life events. Yes. So without getting into too much detail, there's a way on Facebook that you can market to people based off of life events, significant events that have happened in their lives. One that I'm pretty aware of, that I've seen a lot of and read a lot on. If you ever gotten engaged, or if a friend of yours has gotten engaged, they'll post it on Facebook. Yeah. You just got engaged, you post a picture, you're both hugging the tree, everything's fun. But what you might notice after that, and just keep this in mind, is that you're going to start to get targeted with, I don't know, maybe wedding dresses or bridesmaid dresses or wedding planners. So people have used the targeting method of a life event of you getting engaged, and then they're targeting you with content. So what happened here, this was a live event, and excuse me, and it had to do with birthdays. So you know what, I'm gonna pull it up on the screen here, just because I thought it was so cool, and there's just some information that we could talk a little bit about here. So here we go. So this, and I'll post the, as you know, for School of Commerce, if you can attend the lesson live, if you're live with us right now, that's awesome. A few days later, we post this on our blog. We timestamp it so you can see where the really good bread and butter of the content is. But you'll take a look here. The targeting option that helped us generate 2,700% ROI. So what they did here was they used, as you can see here, the upcoming birthday targeting option. And this gives you the ability to target people, wish them a happy birthday, and provide them with a gift or an incentive like that. And these are people who haven't even engaged with your brand yet, which I think is something really cool. So if you're trying to maybe figure out how to maybe get some likes on your Facebook page, even maybe try to generate some new traffic, this is a really cool way. So check out what they did here. It just says, a little birdie told us about you're celebrating a birthday, so we got you a present. Use the code BDAY for 20% off, the coolest startup theme, yada, yada, yada. So it's a power trick. It's a little bit of a trick. I haven't tried this, but I think I'm going to try it on my store as well to see if I can get the same results, because 2,700% is pretty significant and pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. One of the key things about this too is that they mentioned that the window for your birthday is within 7 days. So one thing that does is, it's obviously it's very topical at the time for that person. But also, one thing it'll do for your advertising is it keeps your the amount of times that people see your ads low. So that's something that can hurt your advertising. If people see the same ad over and over and over again, it hurts your costs and your reach and the overall performance of your ads. So what this does is, once, say your birthday is coming up in 7 days, once your birthday's passed, you're no longer in that group or that segment for people to see that advertisement. So you won't see that ad anymore.
Okay.
Birthday's passed. So keep in mind that is really key when you're targeting groups like that, is those windows, so people won't get tired and see the same ad over and over again.
Very cool stuff. So I hope you guys have gotten a lot out of us talking about retargeting. I think we covered the main broad strokes. What is it? How to do it? We've given you some power tips. We've shown you a really cool trick that you can try on your own store to maybe increase your traffic or increase your sales. And I think we're about out of time. So thank you for joining us. I wanted to just mention the upcoming lessons. Bold School of Commerce happens every 2 weeks. So we've got a new lesson of our best practices, Shopify tips and tricks, just ways that you can better your e-commerce store and grow your business. So if you haven't already, make sure to check out the website, Bold Commerce. You can either check it out on our blog or on our website, and you can see all of the upcoming lessons. In 2 weeks from now, so on September 14th, we will be talking about how amazing customer service can drive sales and increase customer loyalty. And I think that's a huge thing. You know what? You can have the best product in the world, you can have the best brand, but if you've got crap customer service, people just not going to buy from you.
Yeah.
So make sure to tune in 2 weeks from now. We'll be sending out a link so that way you can make sure to sign up. And also, if you are watching this and there's something that we didn't go over, feel free to let us know in the comments. We're doing this for you guys. If the information that we're providing you is helpful, awesome. If not, let us know. It's not going to hurt our feelings. We want to talk about what it is that you guys want to hear from us. So once again, it's Mike, it's Paul. Thank you. This has been Bold School of Commerce. We talked a lot about retargeting. So hopefully you guys can take what you learned today and put it into action. Right? Paul, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, man.
All right. Thanks a lot, you guys. And we will see you next time. Bye, guys.